What happens when the world's most advanced stealth fighter meets its newest challenger not in theory, but in an all-out 20 versus 20 showdown? Imagine the skies of the 21st century torn open by two predators, each representing not just a nation, but an entire philosophy of air power. On one side, the United States, fielding 20 F-22 Raptors still considered by many to be the most advanced air superiority fighter ever built. On the other, China's 20 J-20 Mighty Dragons, sleek, menacing, and carrying Beijing's hopes of rewriting the balance of power in the skies. So here's the question that grips military analysts, pilots, and fans of aviation alike. In an all-out Clash 20 versus 20, would this be the most evenly matched dogfight of the century, or simply another reminder that technology, training, and history still weigh more heavily than numbers? The F-22 Raptor was born in the crucible of the Cold War, designed to hunt and kill Soviet fighters before they ever posed a threat. It combines stealth, thrust vectoring maneuverability, and supercruise, a package so advanced that even today, nearly 2 decades after entering service, no other fighter has quite matched it. The Raptor is fast, it's quiet on radar, and perhaps most importantly, it has actually seen real-world operations, even if mostly in air policing and precision strikes. The J-20, on the other hand, is China's bold declaration. We can build 5th-generation fighters too, optimized for long-range interception. The J-20 features canards, large internal fuel tanks, and the powerful place-to-15 missile-boasting ranges that may exceed America's AI M120D. Beijing has produced dozens of these aircraft, perhaps even hundreds soon, signaling not just ambition but industrial capacity. And yet, no one outside China truly knows the J-20 can match the lofty claims. Is it truly stealthy against modern radars? Do its engines allow it to supercruise like the F-22? Or are these dragons still learning to breathe fire? When comparing the two, the first battleground is beyond visual range BVR combat. Here, detection is everything. If the J-20 can see the Raptor first and launch its place-15s from 200 kilometers, that's a frightening advantage. But stealth tilts the board. The Raptor's radar cross-section is famously minuscule, designed to be nearly invisible to X-band radars. And paired with the AIM-120D, with its range of around 180 kilometers and high kill probability, the Raptor isn't outmatched. In fact, history shows a side that can integrate ACS, satellites, and data links into the kill chain usually fires first, and America still leads in that ecosystem. But what happens if these 20 Raptors and 20 Dragons close the distance? In a knife fight, maneuverability is king. The Raptor's thrust vectoring nozzles allow it to pivot in ways that defy traditional aerodynamics, performing maneuvers like the Pigachev's Cobra, but in combat-ready conditions. The J-20, heavier and optimized for range, may find itself outturned, out-accelerated, and trapped in the crosshairs of an F-22 pilot trained relentlessly for dogfight dominance. The question is, would a Chinese pilot even allow it to get that close, or would their doctrine dictate disengagement at range? Let's take this thought experiment further. Imagine two arenas, one on China's doorstep, another thousands of miles away near U.S. or NATO territory. In the home game, over the skies near Taiwan or the South China Sea, the J-20 gains support from a dense network of ground-based radars and HQ-9 surface-to-air missile batteries. Chinese pilots fly from nearby bases, supported by their own command and control infrastructure. Here, the Raptors are the outsiders forced to rely on tankers vulnerable to interception, a WACS limited by enemy, and supply lines stretched across the Pacific. Could geography and layered defense allow the J-20 to level the playing field, even if the jet itself isn't a perfect peer? Perhaps. Some argue that in a Chinese bubble of defense, even the mighty Raptor could bleed. Now switch the stage. Picture Guam, Alaska, or even skies near NATO allies in Europe. This time the F-22s are at home, plugged into a vast web of AWAC, satellite data, electronic warfare, and refueling support. The J-20s, by contrast, must operate far from their bases, stretched on logistics, with communications more vulnerable to interference. Here, the Raptors would almost certainly dominate, exploiting not just superior stealth and maneuverability, but the sheer power of America's global network. Would the Dragons even make it close enough to engage? Or would they be plucked from the sky before the fight really began? But let's add one more wrinkle: numbers. For years, the debate has been framed as F-22 versus J-20, 1 versus 1. But what happens when you scale it up 20 Raptors against 20 Dragons? The Raptor is still more advanced, but the J-20 is being produced in larger quantities. Could sheer numbers overwhelm America's technological edge? Or does training, experience, and integration always trump numerical parity? History is filled with examples where quantity tried to match quality and failed. Yet history also warns us not to underestimate what mass can achieve when combined with strategy. And then comes the uncomfortable question. The F-22 itself is aging. Production stopped over a decade ago, leaving only about 180 in service. The jet is unmatched today, yes, but how long until upgrades plateau and maintenance costs mount? Meanwhile, China is improving the J-20, developing new engines, avionics, and perhaps even a twin-seat variant optimized for drone control. Could the day come when the Dragon's modernization closes the gap or even surpasses the Raptor? The answer is far from certain, and that's where the controversy lies. So what's the payoff here? The F-22 Raptor remains the king of the skies, unmatched in dogfighting and still formidable in long-range engagements. Supported by America's unmatched global system AWACS, tankers, satellites, it's not just a fighter. It's the centerpiece of an ecosystem. The J-20, while impressive on paper and growing in numbers, still carries questions about stealth, engines, and real-world performance. In China's own skies, with SAMs and radar at its back, the J-20 might challenge the Raptor. But on neutral ground or near America's sphere, the Raptor rules. Yet the final twist is this: the fight has never happened. All of this remains speculation, simulation, and projection. And sometimes perception itself becomes a weapon. If the world believes the J-20 is equal to the F-22, does that perception give China the deterrent it needs, even if reality is murkier? So, let me leave you with the question that matters most. In a clash of 20 Raptors against 20 Dragons, is the outcome decided by the planes themselves? Or by the systems, strategies, and politics that surround them? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe the Raptor's reign is untouchable, or is the Dragon closer to fire-breathing reality than the world admits? Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive analyses into the weapons shaping the future of warfare.